Hi everyone, I'm Kyle. I wanted to share with you this video call I did with one of our clients, Vishal. He's an interesting guy, works in finance, and owns a property here in Orange County that we manage for him. We're going to talk about his experience with property management, investing in real estate, and I hope you enjoy it. Check it out.
We really appreciate you as a customer,
Of course.
and I want to just take this time and just ask you a few questions. So here's what I thought we'd do. I'd ask you a couple of questions, if you don't mind just answering them best you can, and then maybe at the end, happy to answer any questions you have for me or any suggestions that you have for us. Love to hear them.
Great. That sounds good.
Okay, cool. First of all, Vishal, just tell me a little bit about yourself, like who you are, what are you into, what do you do for work? We just want to know about you.
Yeah. So my name is Vishal. I grew up in Orange County, California, and I was there through high school, and then I went to Northern California for college. I currently work in finance in Chicago. I moved here after business school at Wharton in Philadelphia, and I'm, you know, uh, miss California a lot, but happy to be in Chicago, and I'm here and I'm married, and my wife and I both work here, so that's what brought us to Chicago.
Yeah, yeah. Well, just curious, like, how'd you get interested in real estate and owning a rental property?
And my family decided to move to Orange, which was closer to where I went to high school, but we kept that house and we rented it out since 2000. And so that's kind of our first family home. It was the first property that my parents bought when they moved here from India, and now I'm 100% in charge of it, and I own it with my wife.
And what made you decide to choose us as you had so many options in front of you?
Yeah, so in 2015, I went through a fairly detailed process to figure out if I wanted to sell the property or continue renting it. And it was during a time in early 2015 when the property had to go through a lot of upgrades. We had to redo some of the flooring, repaint, fix a lot of things that just had deteriorated. The previous tenants really didn't take good care of. And so there was a lot of investment there. And at that point, the house was very marketable. And so I actually met with a friend of mine who does real estate in Southern California and talked to her a lot about, what my needs were on the financial side and what the real estate market looked like in Southern California. And she recommended to me that we work with Irvine Property Management. And so it was at that point that we decided to have a formal property manager and to move forward in that way. And that was really valuable for me because I was living, outside of Southern California, and I didn't have the ability to manage it.
Okay.
And since
so you had
yes,
already moved away because you had already maybe moved to Chicago or were going to school in Northern California at that time then.
so then it must have been, more than 4 or 5 years ago. And the same friend had advised me that basically Irvine Property Management was one of the best property managers in Southern California, and they're good at both the real estate transaction side and the property management side. And it was on her referral that I reached out to Gary and got in touch and ended up connecting with you guys.
Fantastic. And just kind of curious as well, why choose a property manager? I mean, have you ever thought about doing it yourself? Just, kind of curious. Some people do it themselves, some people don't. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would say for the first 10 years, we had tried to do it ourselves. And
Oh,
my dad lived in Southern California, so he was, he tried to do lease renewals and try to monitor the property. And it just became too much work for him. And kind of, it's not what he does for a living. He's not an expert. So
yeah.
having a property manager was probably the most valuable change that we made with the property, after we had moved out and decided to rent it. And it's just so much easier now. We rely on you guys for everything that we need: lease renewals, managing the tenants, dealing with one-off things that pop up. And it's not a young property, so it's really valuable to us, but it does need things here and there. Having a property manager is just so much easier since we can't manage it directly and we're not in Southern California to be very active with it.
Yeah. in Vishal, just from talking to you in other conversations, it sounds like you have a general interest in real estate. Anyway, have you ever considered and you know looking at other investment properties or increasing the amount of rental properties you have? Is that an interest that you have?
Yeah, I would love to do that. And when I thought about some of the savings that we had and what we wanted to do with it, one of the first things I thought was it would be really great to build a portfolio in Southern California, in Orange County, where I know the area well, and I grew up there and spent a lot of time there, and where we could have all of our properties managed by one property manager. So it's still something that we're interested in, and as we gather up more savings, I think we may pursue that. But for now, we have just this one, and we'll see if we can grow it from there.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a fantastic start. The reality is a lot of people don't realize this about our service, but most of our customers actually have one rental property, and we have several that have many more as well. But it's very common. A lot of people think, oh, I use a property management company, I need 5 rentals. No, you just really most of our customers just have one, and so yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
So tell me about. I mean, I don't know if you can remember back this far, but tell me about when the property was vacant and we were looking for a tenant. I'm sure it was a while ago, but do you recall like how long it took, or what that experience was like?
You mean when we moved out and we needed the first tenant to move in?
Yeah, the first time.
Yeah. So I think that was in 2000, and I don't remember. My parents were in charge of it. I think I
Yeah,
was
that's
14
okay.
at the time.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that we ended up leasing it to a friend that my parents knew that needed a living space, and it was good because we knew them and we were friends with them, and we liked them as people. I would tell you, when I took over the property when I got to college and took over, figuring out how to manage it, it became a lot more difficult because we ran into issues where the tenants wouldn't pay rent on time.
Yeah.
They would try and pay for repairs themselves and deduct it from the rent. And there was just no formal way to really monitor what was going on inside the house. And I was not living in Southern California. So it became imperative to us when I took over that we really needed to be more organized.
Yeah. Um, if you could, if you could give me maybe if there was one thing that we did to make your life easier, what would that be?
If there's one thing that you guys did, meaning one new thing, or one thing that you guys do already?
Yeah, that's probably what you said is a better way of phrasing the question. What's one thing that we do that makes your life easier?
Yeah.
I'm still working on my interview skills. I'm not there
No,
yet. I'm not there yet.
this is great. Honestly, I can't think of one thing. Top to bottom, it's just you guys just make us owning this house so much easier. Um, it's everything. I mean, I feel like I collect rent in my bank account every month. I get a statement every month, and I'm very hands off. Um, here's what I would say. The most stressful thing for a homeowner when they're renting their property is the transitions. So
Yeah.
getting a new tenant, really figuring out if that tenant is a high quality tenant and if they're going to take care of the property. Um, and that has a lot of implications on the cost. Working with you guys and with Tani has been so good because I know that you're going to find people that will live there that I would never be able to find on my own. And then you'll monitor them and you'll make sure that they don't kind of abuse the property. And so, and then, during the transition period, there are a lot of things that need to happen. Sometimes we need to repaint. Sometimes small things need to get fixed or replaced. The transitions are the most difficult for a property owner, and you guys make that a very seamless process where I don't really have to think too much, but I'm still aware and involved on what's going on. So
Yeah.